So my time is coming to a close with this Jeep Wrangler 2-liter turbo, and this week the dash has been showing, hopefully you can see that, it's been showing about 25.5 miles per gallon all week long. And I put 8 gallons of fuel in it at the beginning of the week and reset the trip meter so I could try to do some quick hand calculation in my head. And based upon what I'm seeing, I think the dash is pretty accurate. I came up with about 25. It's showing 25.5. I think it's pretty accurate, actually. Now again, this is a completely stock Jeep. I mean, obviously there's like no mods or wheels or tires or anything on it, completely stock. But even so, 25.5 miles per gallon, you know, driving around, my driving is like a 50-50 split. You know, I'm driving around all these towns in central Kentucky and then the highways between them, so it's pretty much a 50-50 split between city and highway driving. You know, so to be able to get 25 plus out of a Jeep is pretty amazing, actually. And I really think that's going to be competitive with like the miles per gallon you would see on the Eco Diesel. You know, the diesel's rated 24 combined. Some people get a little bit better than that in stock form, but this is going to be pretty much right on the same miles per gallon as the diesel. And of course, in most places, diesel fuel costs more than gasoline, so it would actually be more economical to run this engine in a Wrangler, you know, if that's what you cared about. But anyway, last little update here with the Wrangler. It continues to be, you know, very frugal and efficient and sporty. Like I was saying, the interior feels real cheap. The windows are even rattling over here. The sun visor on this side, excuse me, on this side came loose the other day. That one over there fell out. Well, this one came loose and I caught it before it blocked my view, and I had to, you know, while I was driving, I had to push it back up in there. Extremely annoying, to say the least. But anyway, my time's coming to an end here with this thing, and I just wanted to kind of give you an update on how the real world fuel economy is on this little 2-liter turbo. I'm very surprised with it, and it's probably going to be a good option for people, like I said, who are going to lease these things for maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years. You're just going to do a lease on one, and you want something that's powerful and fuel efficient. You're not really planning on keeping it forever. This would probably be a really good option in your Wrangler if that was the case. So I'm gonna hop off here. I'm going over to check on my truck and see what the latest info is, if there is any latest info. Last I checked, there is no ETA on getting it repaired, getting it done. And like I was saying, I'm pretty frustrated. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later on. So now I'm driving this, and it's not nearly as good on fuel. but when you guys see what this vehicle is, you'll realize that that's actually not too bad. Been driving it all week and it's showing 15.1 still. A little bit surprised actually at how well this vehicle is doing. So this is the Toyota Tundra, obviously. A lot of people called these the 3rd gen because in 2014 they did a big refresh update on this truck to kind of make it more competitive with what was going on in the market at the time. But truthfully, this is actually a 2nd gen truck. The 3rd gen trucks are the ones that just came out for 2022, and they're, as of December 2021, they're just now starting to roll into the dealerships. People are actually taking possession of some of them. So those are technically the 3rd gen trucks. The 2nd gen Tundra was on the market for a long time, as you know, but this truck is actually kind of cool. Now I'll be honest with you, I'm a Ram Ford guy. I hate GM because I've had GM trucks in the past. They've always been trouble. But I'm a domestic brand truck guy. I always overlooked these trucks, and now that I'm getting an opportunity to drive one, I'm noticing some pretty interesting things about it. I just thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of compare the Toyota Tundra that's been on the market now for the last, what, 13, 14, 15 years to the domestic branded trucks that are out on the road. So let's take a look at this thing. So I do remember, just like it was yesterday, when this 5.7 liter I-Force V8 debuted in this truck for the 2007 model year. Back in 2006, when we first saw this truck and first got all the specs and details on it, this was groundbreaking stuff at the time. You know, now here, you know, getting ready to go into 2022, it's kind of old news. But back in 2006, nobody had seen anything like this. 381 horsepower in a half-ton truck, 401 pound-feet of torque, mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. I mean, those were numbers that we just hadn't seen before, and it was groundbreaking stuff. This powertrain was way ahead of its time. You got to remember that back in 2006, GM was still doing 300 horsepower engines, V8 engines, that is. They were still doing 4-speed transmissions. All right, I mean, it was still very old-fashioned, the stuff that you were getting from the domestic companies. So when Toyota released this powertrain in this truck, it truly was, you know, groundbreaking stuff at the time. Variable valve timing, dual overhead cams, true dual exhaust coming off of stainless manifolds. This was just, like I said, an awesome powertrain, and even to this day, even right now in the end of 2021, it's a very respectable powertrain. Now, you guys just saw a minute ago, I've been driving this truck this week, and it's showing 15 plus miles per gallon. I've been driving around these central Kentucky towns and cities that I'm always in, a little bit of highway, a little bit of city. My driving is a 50-50 split pretty much. So to get 15 miles per gallon, that's pretty impressive to me, honestly. I would be very content with that in a truck like this. Now, as I walked around this truck and checked out the body, the first thing I wanted to look for was signs of rust, because here where we live, they put a lot of salt, magnesium, calcium chloride, all kinds of junk on our roadways during the wintertime. And so typically when you see a truck like this of a domestic automaker that's 5 years old and has 90,000 miles on it, like this truck does, you'll almost always see signs of rust down in the rocker panels, the rear cab corners. The rams are really bad about rusting out on the wheel wells, the wheel arches back there in the rear. I mean, you have to really watch out for rust on trucks in this area. This truck here, I've been over this thing with a fine-tooth comb, and I can't find any signs of rust anywhere. I mean, check this out. The rocker panels look brand spanking new in this truck. Check this out. Let me get this camera to focus. I mean, there's like no signs of rust anywhere. The doors look really good, even down along the bottom edges. You can still see some orange peel. Of course, the truck is dirty right now, but there's still signs of orange peel from the paint where they put it on extra thick. Cab corners back here are solid as can be. Look at of course, like I said, it's dirty, but look at the inside of these fender arches. I mean, there's no rust at all. I wish it wasn't dirty, because the dirt and the sunlight makes it look orange, but that is not rust. I mean, this thing is just really, really doing a great job in this environment that it's living in. So I'm very impressed with the quality of the body, of the paint. They must have done a good job dipping these trucks when they were manufacturing them. To survive the climate we have here with no rust is pretty impressive. So it's kind of nice to see a truck that can hold up. I noticed during the 2022 Tundra launch, they made a big deal of these aero fins. Well, I don't know why, because this truck is 5 years old and it has them. It's got them on the tail lights. I noticed it even has one up here by the mirror. And the engineers, during all the 2022 Tundra interviews, claimed that when they were doing testing, that these little things actually make a pretty significant difference in fuel economy. I don't see how, but things like that happen. So the look of the Tundra, of course, has been updated a couple of times over the years. It's always been kind of, let's just say subjective, but Some people love it, some people don't. Now this particular specimen obviously has been well cared for. Whoever has owned this truck in the past took good care of it. But still, I think that the Toyota quality is kind of coming through on the exterior. Now, I took this truck across the cat scale just out of curiosity to see what the curb weight on it was. Obviously, this is a Crewmax 4x4, and it came across the scales without me in it at 5,900 pounds. So just shy of 6,000 pounds. That's probably the heaviest half-ton truck in the segment. Having said that, I also noticed crawling around under this truck that the rear axle is huge. You've got that big 10.5-inch ring gear. The frame and the cross members are really big. It's kind of built like a 3/4 ton truck in a lot of ways. So I can see why it weighs so much, you know. Toyota tended to overbuild these things on purpose, I think. The sizing on this truck is nice. According to the Wikipedia article I saw, it said that when they designed the Crewmax, they were kind of targeting the Ram Mega Cab. And I can see that because this thing is gigantic back here. Way more room back here than a mid-size truck, obviously, but even a lot of the full-size crew cabs don't have this much space. You got a nice cup holder. Of course, I've got all my personal stuff thrown in here at the moment, but fold down cup holder. This guy has Carhartt seat covers, which are pretty nice. I mean, they're nice and heavy duty. Protect the seats really nice. One thing I don't like about the Toyota is that you do not have a fold flat floor back here. So if you throw those seats up, see how you have that kind of a step down right there? Not a big fan of that. I kind of like the perfectly flat floor myself. Another thing about the Toyota truck, now this one is a SR5 with the interior upgrade package, but even so, it's lacking a lot of features that you get standard on a domestic truck. Like for example, there are no automatic headlights in this truck. You can't get a heated steering wheel on this particular trim, heated seats. You know, a lot of the little things that we just kind of get used to on the Rams, even with the interior upgrade package, not available on the SR5. So, you know, the in-tune, as they called it, audio system is not user-friendly, not intuitive. It's kind of old-fashioned looking, really, compared to the Uconnect system. You don't have power adjustable pedals. I mean, there's a laundry list of things that are pretty standard in American trucks. And I know what you guys are gonna say, this is an American truck. It's more American than a lot of the domestic trucks. I understand that, but what I'm saying is the big three that we consider to be American trucks, they have a lot of standard interior features that, you know, aren't even present in this interior upgrade package. So that's kind of nuts. But overall, it's a roomy truck. It's got the stuff you need. I mean, it's got air conditioning, it's got cruise control, power windows and locks. So it does have the stuff that you need. I noticed, which I thought was interesting, that some of the trim work over here is coming unglued. So much for Toyota quality, huh? Another thing I've noticed is driving down my gravel lane, there's a lot of like rattling, and it sounds like some of the dash internals are loose or something. I mean, there's a lot of rattles and shakes and noises that come from the interior on this particular truck going down the gravel road. You see how the stitching on the door is perfectly symmetrical. I mean, it goes right across the top of the door there. Come on, camera. Well, over there on that door, it doesn't do that. The stitching kind of comes out and goes down like this, like the robot got off track or something. So I've noticed some interior quality issues on this truck that are, let's just say, questionable compared to the things that you always hear about Toyotas. It's kind of funny. The exterior quality looks to be top notch. It's an overbuilt, heavy-duty truck, but on the inside, it seems like they kind of cheaped out a little bit. I mean, the bottom line with this truck is that Toyota has always kind of been behind the game when it comes to technology, you know, and interior features, and you know, they don't really keep up with the other companies when it comes to that sort of thing. It seems like they focus their efforts on making a truck that's durable, that lasts a long time, that has as few issues, mechanical issues as possible. And there's definitely something to be said for that. I mean, nobody likes for their truck to be broken down, like me, for example. Jeep, been in the shop forever. My last Ram was in the shop. The Jeep I had before that was in the shop. So, you know, so there's definitely something to be said for a Toyota truck that hopefully wouldn't ever go to the shop, you know. So they focus their efforts on stuff that matters to truck guys, you know, building durable stuff that lasts a long time. But if you're somebody who's into technology and features and comfort and that kind of thing, I don't think this is the truck for you. But to each their own, right? Now, as far as off-road goes, I mean, obviously I'm not going to take the truck off-road, but you know, I've heard that these things do a pretty good job. They've got the electronic limited slip, and I've seen guys put some small lift kits on these with some wheels and tires, and you know, they seem to be pretty formidable off-road. This one has tow hooks. You can't see them from here, but up underneath it has 2 tow hooks, which is something the 2022 third gen apparently does not have. So that's nice. But I don't think you'd have any trouble if you wanted to use this for hunting or out on the, you know, on trails or whatever the case might be. If you wanted to make a little bit of an off-road or adventure rig out of it, I think you'd be fine with some basic mods and doing that. It's a pretty truck. I mean, it's kind of growing on me the more I look at it. Like I said, I always just kind of overlooked these trucks in the past, but the more I look at it, it's kind of growing on me. I can see how some larger wheels and tires would make this a pretty sharp truck. Honestly, a lot of the body lines of this particular model kind of remind me of the new 5th gen Ram trucks in a lot of ways, you know. Anyway, it's powerful, it's smooth, it drives pretty good. The steering feels like it has too much return to center. I'm gonna, I don't know, do a little research and see if that's something that Toyota people complain about commonly. I don't remember that from the previous IFS rigs that I've driven, but this truck has a lot of return to center feel in it. In a sharp curve at speed, it gets a little sketchy feeling actually. But the suspension rides really good. The transmission is as smooth as silk. The power delivery is great. I mean, it drives good. And like I said, based on what I've seen, the fuel economy is really not bad for what you're getting here. Towing capacity on this one is about 9,800 pounds. There's a lot of different stipulations. You know, if you look through the manual on these things, that determines your towing capacity. Payload on this particular one is like 1,205 pounds, I think is what the sticker said. So the payload number is a little low, but that's because of the curb weight being so high. You can still haul and tow a good amount of weight with this truck. So I think it would be a good work truck. It's a good family hauler. One of those trucks that would be good at a lot of different things. Toyota Tundra. With all the buzz surrounding the new one, maybe this 2nd gen Tundra will start to get popular again. What do you guys think? Well, as you may have seen, the sun is going down and it's going to get cold out here, and I'm getting hungry, so it's time for dinner, guys. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you guys have one of these 2nd gen Tundras, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Kind of a neat truck. It's growing on me a little bit. We'll see you guys later.